Ready when you are, Bruce. Good.
Hollywood, 1964. A young Chinese man walked onto a movie set wearing simple black pants and a traditional kung fu shirt. The director took one look at him and laughed. "You play a martial arts master? Look at you. You're too small, too Chinese, too different. Americans want cowboys and superheroes, not someone like you." Bruce Lee stood there, his dark eyes calm but burning with determination. He didn't argue. He didn't beg. He simply said, "Give me 5 minutes. Let me show you what real martial arts looks like." What happened in those 5 minutes would change cinema forever. But the real story? It's not about the kicks and punches you saw on screen. It's about a man who refused to let the world tell him who he should be. Before we begin, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because stories like this remind us that greatness doesn't come from where you start, but from refusing to quit. The boy who wasn't supposed to succeed. Bruce Lee was born Lee Jun-fan in San Francisco on November 27, 1940, during the Year of the Dragon. His father was a famous Cantonese opera singer, traveling between America and Hong Kong. But young Bruce grew up in Hong Kong, and life wasn't easy for him. As a teenager, Bruce was small and sickly. He wore thick glasses because his eyesight was terrible. The other kids in his neighborhood looked down on him. They called him weak. They said he would never amount to anything. In the rough streets of Hong Kong in the 1950s, being weak meant being a target. That's when Bruce discovered martial arts. At age 13, he started learning Wing Chun Kung Fu from a master named Yip Man. But here's what most people don't know. Yip Man almost refused to teach him. Why? Because Bruce was part German on his mother's side, and traditional Chinese martial arts schools didn't accept mixed-race students. Bruce had to hide his background just to learn. He practiced in secret, trained twice as hard as everyone else, and absorbed every lesson like a sponge. While other students learned the forms mechanically, Bruce studied the philosophy behind every movement. He read books on Western boxing, fencing, and philosophy. He wasn't just learning to fight, he was learning to think. By age 18, Bruce had become known as a street fighter who never lost. But his mother saw the dangerous path he was on. Hong Kong streets were pulling him toward gang violence and trouble. She made a hard decision, sent him back to America with $100 in his pocket and a one-way ticket. Bruce arrived in San Francisco in 1959 with almost nothing. No connections, no money, no plan. Just a small bag of clothes and a burning desire to make something of his life. He worked as a waiter, washed dishes, and lived in tiny apartments. But every spare moment, he practiced his kicks, his punches, his movements. He enrolled at the University of Washington to study philosophy. Yes, philosophy, not physical education or sports. Bruce understood something most fighters never did. The body follows the mind. If you want to be truly great, you must first master your thoughts. The dream that Hollywood rejected. In the early 1960s, Bruce opened his first martial arts school in Seattle. Traditional Chinese martial artists were furious. How dare he teach their sacred techniques to non-Chinese students? They challenged him to fights, tried to shut him down, and called him a traitor to Chinese culture. Bruce didn't back down. He believed martial arts should be for everyone, regardless of race or background. Martial arts should be a way of life, he would say, not a secret kept from the world. His reputation grew. Students flocked to learn from this small but incredibly fast and powerful teacher. Then came the opportunity that would change everything. A chance to demonstrate Kung Fu at a martial arts tournament in Long Beach, California, in 1964. Hollywood producers were in the audience. They'd never seen anything like Bruce Lee. His speed was inhuman. His power defied his size. One producer approached him after the demonstration. "Have you ever thought about movies?" Bruce's eyes lit up. This was his chance, not just to be an actor, but to show the world what Chinese martial arts really were, to break the stereotypes, to prove that an Asian man could be a hero, not just a villain or a servant. But Hollywood had other ideas. The doors that kept slamming shut. Bruce Lee landed a role as Kato in the television series The Green Hornet in 1966. Finally, his big break. But here's what they didn't tell you. Kato was a sidekick, the assistant to a white hero. Bruce brought incredible martial arts skills to the role, but he wasn't allowed to be the star. The show was moderately successful, but when it ended after one season, Bruce found himself back at square one. He auditioned for dozens of roles. Every single time, the same answer. You're too Chinese. American audiences won't accept an Asian leading man. Maybe you could play a villain or a houseboy. The rejection cut deep. This wasn't just about his career. It was about his identity. Bruce was American-born, university-educated, married to an American woman named Linda, and spoke perfect English. Yet Hollywood only saw his Asian face and decided he didn't belong. In 1971, Bruce came up with an idea for a television series about a Shaolin monk wandering the American West, using martial arts and Eastern philosophy to help people. He called it The Warrior. The concept was brilliant, original, and perfect for television. Hollywood loved the idea. They took his concept, thanked him politely, and then gave the starring role to David Carradine, a white actor with no martial arts training. The show became Kung Fu, a massive hit that ran for years and made Carradine a star. Bruce Lee, the actual martial artist and creator of the concept, got nothing. The darkest moment. Imagine spending years perfecting your craft, breaking barriers, teaching others, and then watching someone else take credit for your ideas and become famous because of them. That's what Bruce faced. He sat in his small apartment, watching Kung Fu on television while his wife Linda tried to comfort him. They stole it, he said quietly. They took what I created and gave it to someone else because they don't believe an Asian man can be the hero. His students encouraged him to keep fighting. His family supported him. But inside, Bruce was battling demons of doubt and frustration. He was 32 years old. Time was running out. Maybe Hollywood was right. Maybe America wasn't ready for someone like him. Depression set in. He stopped training as intensely. He questioned everything. Was he chasing an impossible dream? Should he just accept being a martial arts instructor and forget about movies? But then something happened that changed his perspective completely. The letter that changed everything. One day, Bruce received a letter from Hong Kong. A film producer named Raymond Chow had heard about this amazing martial artist who was being ignored by Hollywood. Come back to Hong Kong, the letter said. Make movies here. Show Asia what you can do, and maybe the world will finally pay attention. Bruce discussed it with Linda. Going back to Hong Kong felt like admitting defeat in America, but it was also an opportunity, a chance to prove himself on his own terms, without Hollywood's prejudices holding him back. In 1971, Bruce Lee returned to Hong Kong and made a movie called The Big Boss. It was a simple kung fu film with a modest budget. Nobody expected much. But when it premiered, something extraordinary happened. The movie shattered every box office record in Hong Kong's history. Lines wrapped around theaters. People watched it multiple times. Bruce Lee became an overnight sensation across Asia. His unique fighting style, fast, powerful, emotional, was unlike anything audiences had seen. He followed it with Fist of Fury, which became even bigger. Then Way of the Dragon, which he wrote, directed, and starred in. Each film broke the previous one's records. Bruce Lee was now the biggest star in Asia, but Hollywood still ignored him. The fight that proved everything. Way of the Dragon featured a climactic fight scene in the Roman Colosseum between Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris, who was a real-world karate champion. This wasn't just acting. This was two legitimate martial artists showcasing their skills. Bruce choreographed every move to demonstrate something important. Martial arts wasn't about brute strength. It was about speed, precision, and strategy. The fight scene took 8 days to film, with Bruce demanding perfection in every frame. When American martial artists saw this footage, they couldn't believe it. Chuck Norris, a respected champion, was being matched move for move by this 135-pound Chinese actor. The authenticity was undeniable. Finally, Hollywood called. Warner Brothers offered Bruce Lee a starring role in an American production with a real budget. The movie would be called Enter the Dragon, and it would be the first major martial arts film produced by a Hollywood studio with an Asian leading man. But there was a catch. They wanted creative control. They wanted to change his fighting style, add more white characters, and reduce his philosophical dialogue. Bruce negotiated hard. He demanded significant creative input. He insisted on authentic martial arts, not the fake choreography Hollywood typically used. He wanted his philosophy included in the film, the idea that martial arts was about self-discovery and personal growth, not just violence. The studio reluctantly agreed, though they remained skeptical. Could this small Asian man really carry a major American film? The movie that changed cinema forever, Enter the Dragon, began filming in Hong Kong in early 1973. Bruce poured everything into this film, his philosophy, his martial arts expertise, his vision of what action cinema could be. He trained the other actors personally, choreographed the fights, and even contributed to the script. During filming, Bruce was intense and demanding. He insisted on real contact during fight scenes, not the fake punches common in Hollywood. He wanted audiences to feel the power and reality of martial arts. Some crew members thought he was difficult, but Bruce knew this might be his only chance to show the world what he truly represented. The film wrapped in April 1973. Bruce returned to Hong Kong exhausted but satisfied. He'd done everything he could. Now it was up to audiences to decide if they were ready for what he offered. But Bruce Lee would never see the results of his greatest achievement, the tragedy that shocked the world. On July 20th, 1973, just weeks before Enter the Dragon was scheduled to premiere, Bruce Lee collapsed at a friend's apartment in Hong Kong. He was rushed to the hospital, but was pronounced dead at age 32. The official cause was listed as cerebral edema, swelling of the brain. The real cause has been debated for 50 years. Was it an allergic reaction to medication? Overwork and exhaustion? Something more mysterious? The world may never know. What we do know is that Bruce Lee died without seeing how his final film would transform cinema forever. He never knew that Enter the Dragon would gross over $200 million worldwide, equivalent to nearly $1 billion today. He never witnessed how it would launch the martial arts movie genre and make Kung Fu a household word across the globe. He never saw how his philosophy would inspire millions of people who felt like outsiders, who were told they weren't good enough, who faced discrimination and doubt. The legacy that lives forever. Enter the Dragon premiered in August 1973, 1 month after Bruce's death. The response was explosive. American audiences, who Hollywood claimed would never accept an Asian leading man, packed theaters. The film became one of the highest grossing of the year. But more importantly, Bruce Lee became a cultural icon. His image appeared on posters in college dormitories, martial arts schools, and gyms worldwide. His philosophy, "Be water, my friend," became a mantra for adaptation and resilience. Young people who felt marginalized saw Bruce and realized they could be heroes too. Asian Americans who'd grown up seeing their people portrayed as villains or servants finally had a heroic figure who looked like them. Martial artists who'd been dismissed as practicing exotic techniques gained newfound respect. Hollywood executives who'd rejected Bruce Lee for years suddenly scrambled to make martial arts films. They'd learned a painful lesson. Audiences care about talent, charisma, and authenticity, not stereotypes. What Bruce Lee really taught us. Bruce Lee's story isn't ultimately about martial arts or movies. It's about something much deeper. The courage to be yourself when the world tells you to be someone else. Think about what Bruce faced. He was told Chinese martial arts should stay secret, but he shared it with everyone. He was told Asian men couldn't be leading men, but he demanded starring roles. He was told to accept Hollywood's vision, but he insisted on authenticity. He was told to give up after every rejection, but he found another path. Bruce's most famous philosophy was this: be like water. Water adapts to any container, but never loses its essential nature. It flows around obstacles instead of fighting them directly. It's soft and yielding, yet powerful enough to carve through mountains given time. That's how Bruce lived his life. When Hollywood rejected him, he didn't quit. He adapted, going to Hong Kong to prove himself. When traditional martial artists criticized him, he didn't fight their criticism. He demonstrated the effectiveness of his methods. When obstacles appeared, He flowed around them while staying true to his core beliefs. The real victories. Bruce Lee's greatest victories weren't in his movies. They were in the barriers he broke and the doors he opened for others. He proved that excellence transcends race. Before Bruce, Hollywood assumed audiences would only accept white action heroes. After Bruce, the world knew better. He showed that philosophy and physical strength aren't opposites. Bruce was as devoted to reading and thinking as he was to training his body. He understood that true strength comes from the mind. He demonstrated that your background doesn't determine your future. Born in America, raised in Hong Kong, rejected by both cultures at times, Bruce created his own identity rather than accepting what others defined for him. He taught that sharing knowledge makes you stronger, not weaker. Traditional martial artists hoarded their techniques. Bruce believed teaching and sharing created a stronger community. The question he leaves us. Today, more than 50 years after his death, Bruce Lee's influence continues growing. UFC fighters study his techniques. Actors copy his training methods. Philosophers quote his wisdom. Millions of people who've never seen his films know his name and face. But Bruce's real question to us isn't about martial arts or movies. It's this: when the world tells you that you don't belong, that you're not good enough, that you should give up on your dreams, will you have the courage to prove them wrong? Every person watching this has faced rejection. You've been told you're too young, too old, too inexperienced, too different. You've had doors slammed in your face. You've questioned whether your dreams are possible. Bruce Lee's life tells us, don't quit. Adapt. Flow like water. Find another path. But never, ever stop being authentically yourself. The final truth. In his last interview before his death, Bruce Lee said something profound. I'm not teaching you martial arts. I'm teaching you about yourself through martial arts. That was his gift, not the kicks and punches, but the understanding that greatness comes from knowing yourself completely, accepting your uniqueness, and refusing to let anyone else define your limits. The Hollywood executives who rejected him are forgotten. The critics who said he'd fail are unnamed. But Bruce Lee? His legacy grows stronger every year because he showed us something timeless. Respect isn't given to those who conform. It's earned by those who dare to be different and excellent simultaneously. When you face your next rejection, your next obstacle, your next moment of doubt, remember the small Chinese man who Hollywood said would never be a star. Remember how he responded not with bitterness, but with excellence. Not with conformity, but with authenticity. If this story inspired you, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Share this with someone who needs to hear that their dreams are worth fighting for. And in the comments below, tell us about a time when you refused to quit despite everyone telling you to give up. Your story might inspire the next person who needs hope. Because that's what Bruce Lee really taught us. The Real King isn't crowned by others. He crowns himself through excellence, authenticity, and refusal to accept limitations that others try to impose. Be water, my friend, and never stop flowing toward your dreams.